So the growing homeless crisis at Sea-Tac Airport prompts a new pilot program. We've got homelessness inside the Sea-Tac Airport. It's becoming a threat. People trying to fly in and out. Yeah, things are getting tricky. It's what we're talking about today. So it's gotten so bad to the point where officials at Sea-Tac Airport are like, all right, we got to create a program. Here is that program. But before we jump on in, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies here in Bellevue, Washington, just outside of Seattle. And I read news for reasonable people. Does it seem reasonable that the homeless crisis has extended as far as the airport? Yeah. I mean, airport's basically open 24/7, right? I mean, there's some hours there in the wee early hours of the morning where there's not a lot going on. But for the most part, it's kind of like the movies. Was it Tom Hanks, Bill Murray? Who was it that, did that movie where basically lived at the airport? Or, you hear and read of political refugees hanging out at airports for like a year or 2 years or forever. Crazy, right? Why wouldn't that go for homelessness? To me, the issue with staying at the airport is it's pretty far away from services. You've just got so many more services in a downtown core. And that goes for most cities. The airport? I don't know. All right, let's jump on in. The pilot program creates a full-time airport crisis coordinator amid rising crime within the airport. Here's the thought that just jumps to my mind. If government would have handled this as it comes up and created some programs a long time ago that addressed this issue, like a lot of other cities have, then we wouldn't be having to create a new program for the airport, would we? No. But we don't want to talk about that. We just want to keep creating program after program after program, because the original program that should have been in place, which is handle the situation, that just wasn't done. We don't want to do that. We just want to create a lot of programs here and there and just, address things as they pop up, not get to the root cause. That's kind of the thing that jumps to my mind here. So officials at Sea-Tac Airport are hoping a new pilot program will help curb the homeless crisis that's been growing inside. Port of Seattle Police Department says before the pandemic, homeless people tended to seek shelter near baggage claim and mostly at night. All right, that makes sense. Baggage claim. Not a lot of activity going on there at night. And you got people that are, baggage claim folks who work baggage claim. That's a little different drill. Yeah, especially at night, right? So now they're moving to other non-secure areas like ticketing and in public restrooms, causing public safety concerns for police. The ticketing, that's where all the general public is, right? Baggage claim, or where they're sorting out the bags, there's not as much interaction there. The ticketing, that's like the first place people come into an airport, right? And just be hit with that. You're like, oh, yeah, that's not good. Wait until they're done with the flight on the other end and, commingle with the homeless there and baggage claim. So now they're moving to other non-secure areas like ticketing and in public restrooms, causing public safety concerns for police. And that is usually how this goes. Hey, let's do a little litmus test on if we hang out in this area and see if we get away with it. I can't really blame the homeless for doing this, for trying, because, why not? This is Seattle. We kind of just let anything go. Why wouldn't they have luck with this at the airport? It's kind of it's a symptom of a much, much bigger problem, which is we've just let homelessness get wildly out of control. And a lot of what I'm seeing more recently has been, okay, so we refer out this many people. We give referrals to homeless for people in homeless encampments before we sweep them, which a lot of folks say, oh, you can't sweep the homeless encampments. Well, no, you can. And Seattle is doing it. And they are doing it with the help of the police because security is needed, because you got knuckleheads who want to stop the sweeps. And it's just this crazy situation. No, we need to just leave all the tents there. That's a good look for the city. There's nothing wrong. They don't leave any garbage behind. There's no assaults. Tents don't burn up. They don't have guns. Shootings don't happen. Now, not all homeless environments have that litany of what I'm just talking about, but a lot of them do. And reports daily on shootings, assaults, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And some of the video coming out of Seattle right now, the dude that runs up the stairs as a woman's taken, or he runs up the escalator and the woman, is coming up the stairs. He runs up and throws her down 2 flights of stairs, a 61-year-old nurse, and then tries to throw her down the 3rd flight of stairs and, kicks her in the head instead because she's holding onto the handrail. That is a brutal, brutal, brutal scene. And that's the kind of crime that we've got going on in Seattle on the regular by a homeless dude with a massive amount of, crime in his background. Let's be honest. I mean, it's just, that guy was a 5-time felon, something like that. I mean, it's just hideous stories. So you've got this narrative, and now it's at the airport, which is SeaTac is, it's probably a 15-minute drive south of downtown Seattle, something like that. It's not far away, but it's far enough away where I would think people living there are going to have a tough time connecting with services, of any kind. So they just wait until they have an absolute meltdown emergency. And that's kind of what we're talking about, setting up a program for that meltdown emergency when it happens. So we have seen substance abuse in the airport, sometimes in the open, sometimes in our restrooms. There have been some assaults. Okay, said Officer Michelle Briegel with the police department from the Port of Seattle. So you've got a real reason to have this going on. Drugs, open drugs. I mean, we've got it going on in the buses here, right? King County buses. We stand with Ukraine, but not with our bus drivers. That's kind of the bottom line. We love Ukraine and we hope they're doing great and with that whole invasion thing. But here locally, we're just not going to. We just want to let people do their own thing. That means smoking fentanyl on the buses and just letting them, roam around. And so we've probably got some fentanyl being smoked down in the airport. And so the airport is saying, this is not a good look for anybody either coming to or leaving from the airport. Inside the airport, hard no-go. The rise in crime inside the airport is impacting travelers as well. Well, it's kind of bound to. Right? I mean, it's kind of bound to. And getting back to one of my points is there's been a ton of referrals for folks out of homeless encampments, and yet so few take up the opportunity to actually go and stay in that encampment. Less than half. We know statistically less than half. And that's for one night. That qualifies for one night. An overnight stay in a homeless shelter qualifies as, you were a success. Whereas the vast majority, they're not able to work their way through into permanent housing, either because they take themselves out, they get booted out, permanent housing wasn't available to them. That is something that comes up quite often because there's just not enough to go around. Now, at one point earlier on in the pandemic, we had a lot of federal money floating around. And so that was used to create temporary housing for the homeless. But I feel like here in Seattle, we are one of these markets where homeless know to come here because we basically just have this, southern border policy where we'll take anybody. Doesn't matter. We'll take anybody. And then we look around and go, well, I wonder why we've got all these homeless people here. God, this is shocking. What is the deal? Well, because you didn't handle it on the front end. That's the bottom line. You didn't handle it on the front end. Hey, no, you can't sleep in the park. You can't pitch your tent literally in the park and live there. That's not going to work. That's a no-go. And yet Seattle, in its infinite wisdom and its blue appeal, it's, sure, you can live there. Why wouldn't that be? Now we're going to exchange needles in the library. It's literally a thing. Needle exchanges, clean needles. Everybody has a right to a clean needle. In the hospital, it's like, what are we doing here? You're just totally enabling an entire set of people to go live wherever they want, poop on the sidewalk. And then, that type of activity ends up at the airport. And then we're shocked. Hey, we got another program. All right, let's go Seattle. Makes you feel a little worried. Makes you feel a little bit more alert, said Tacoma resident Thupton Searing. The last thing I need when I'm flying out of town is to feel a little more alert because of homeless around me. I don't need to feel a threat. I am already threatened by the fact that I'm going to forget my passport. I'm going to have forgotten my driver's license. Yes, that happened because, like 5 trips ago, I need to make a copy of my driver's license just in case. Yeah, I left it on the scanner. Had to have Mr. Uber driver drive me back home. Oh, can you drive me back? I got to get my license. Stuff like that you've got going on when you're flying that's already super stressful. You don't need to feel a little more alert at the airport. Oh, yeah, well, somebody's going to assault me. Or I'm going to have to take little Johnny and little Susie away from this area because they're smoking crack over there. They're smoking the M30s. Oh, this is not good. No, kids, we need to go over there. Don't mind that guy over there. He's got stuff going on. Ugh, not good. All right. So the rise in crime inside the airport is impacting travelers as well. The new Sea-Cares, SEA space, capital C, CARES program, Sea-Cares. Oh, the names we've got for programs. The High Utility Offender Program, High Utility Initiative, High Utilizers Initiative. Yeah, I'm still laughing about that one because it's like, all right, just call it what it is. They're repeat offenders. The goal is to offer people living at the airport help, shelter referrals, and sometimes a case manager. I think there's been an increase in safety concerns, especially with crimes associated with that population. But not everyone who comes to the airport to use it as emergency shelter commits crimes. No, they don't. But, there's a lot of stuff that does go on. We've got a homeless encampment that is posted up in Seattle on Thornton Creek. That has been, I think it was just cleared out, but the city spent like $1 million buying this property, and it's literally in the middle of a watershed, water source, and this homeless encampment just dumped a bunch of garbage and just a brutal look. So even if it's not like there's ongoing violence in these encampments, it's crazy that the folks who want to let the homeless people live there are wildly in love with the concept of the new Green Deal. They love that concept. Oh, let's everybody get an electric guitar. And yet when it comes down to homeless people dumping a bunch of garbage into their watershed, that's kind of a hall pass. Andrea Suarez, I've talked about her 1 million times, and she has We Heart Seattle, and she literally takes volunteers out and picks up garbage off the streets of Seattle in homeless encampments. And I don't know what her pounds of garbage count. I should probably check in. It's probably into the 400,000 pound, is it 400,000 pounds? Yeah, I think it probably is by now. You can go to her website, We Heart Seattle, and take a look at that. But the folks that, it's okay. We need to let them live wherever. And the Green New Deal, the environment, yep, so important. And then garbage in the watershed. Yeah, it's our water. It's our drinking water. Water that goes in our pipes. Most people have filters anyway. So why would we worry about contamination of a really nice creek and water area? But if salmon were spawning in there right now, good Lord, some environmentalists, they'd have to make a choice. What do we do here? Homeless people, salmon, garbage, pollution. Yeah, lot to consider, right? While many people refuse Briegel's offers for help, the program has seen some initial success. Since last May, 87 of the 127 contacts made resulted in some sort of social services referral. Okay, a referral is not necessarily a shelter over their head. And that's the huge, huge difference. You get a referral and then you kind of work the next step and the next step. And you've got all of that. But so few people take up those referrals because, let's be honest, they can't lead the lifestyle that probably got them where they are. That's a tough one. Tough to come around, tough to get around that. Every now and then you'll see a news story about somebody who is honestly down on their luck. And they've had just a succession of hard luck story things happen to them. But for the vast majority of people that I've seen, that I've witnessed, you're on a lot of drugs, and those drugs are going to kill you. And in the meantime, you're going to take a bunch of people down with you. And, a person like that can't really be in a shelter with multiple people because you can't detox in a shelter. I don't know if you've ever been around somebody detoxing, especially from the drugs that are out there now, the fentanyl. Hard no-go. You do not want to be around those people unless you are a, licensed, whatever it is, kind of worker that, that deals with people detoxing. Yeah, it's a tough go. I mean, those people, their bodies are screaming out for what they're not getting because they're so dependent upon this crap. So, it makes me feel good, but also realizing how many more people need help, said Briegel. She's running the program. Yeah, a lot of people need help. A lot of people need help. And we have been enabling them. And so this problem is just growing further and further. I mean, the next phase in the program involves bringing in mental health professionals to assist officers when they approach those in need. Good. Okay. That's fine. Handle the situation as it comes up, But also, again, if something crazy goes down at the airport, I want cops there and armed cops. And if something happens, they handle it and they take care of it. I'm sorry. That's just how, especially someplace like the airport where you've got TSA involved, who are kind of quasi security. They're trying to make sure that the planes are safe. But then you've got the cops walking around who actually provide the hands-on public safety there. So yeah, a lot to consider. The airport is already a stressful enough place where you don't need to add this other element. Let them post up in the Delta line. It's okay. I'm sure people in the Delta line, people taking Delta, they won't mind a tent or two on their line to check in their luggage. So many things now are like self-serve, aren't they? And you just you get to the airport and you're like, okay, where do I go? All right, this is self-serve. This is, I need help. This is the gold card member. This is the frequent flyer. You got all these options. What do I do? Do I do it on my phone? Do I log in? I think I already checked in. Did I check in? Did I get a seat number? Do I save that PDF on my phone? Where is that PDF? Did I print that out at home? Those are all the things that as an older traveler, you go through because you used to just, arrive at the airport and give them your passport or give them your driver's license, and they'd give you a little slip of paper that allowed you to get on the plane. And we didn't have all these, check-ins. You had like one check-in and you were through. Didn't have all this crazy security and holding your hands up and getting a little bit of radiation. You have to take your shoes off. You got to take your belt off. Who knows what's on your waist? Who knows? You could have anything in there, right? So it didn't used to have all this stuff. So it was all these layers of pressure, and then to have a homeless scenario. I'm not saying that, the homeless are trying to just layer more stress on. And is stress for people flying, is that a reason to boot the homeless people out? No, they shouldn't be living there, just like they shouldn't be living on the streets. People need to live in shelters. They need to live in some type of shelter. And the airport is not the appropriate place. So I'll be following up on this podcast just to kind of see, all right, what is happening with the homeless scenario at the airport? I guess I've only flown since the pandemic. I've maybe flown 3 or 4 times. Not a lot. I used to do that probably in a year pretty often. I just haven't really wanted to travel all that much just because of the whole protocol and wearing a mask. And it's really annoying for me. So plus I've just been working on other stuff and staying home, but now I'm kind of getting to a point where I might want to go do some traveling, go see what's out there, see what's happening. And so to know that this is one more thing I got to think about. All right, what kind of encounters am I going to have at the airport today? Hopefully none. Because like I said, stressful enough, right? Okay, so next time you travel, take a look around and see. Is the coast clear? I don't know. If it's not, we need to talk about it because this is news for reasonable people. Thanks for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.